Okay, this is the beginning of Unit 5, Week 4. The story we're going to be reading this week from the big book is Whistle for Willie. When we look at the kind of story, it's a realistic fiction. And what does that mean? Remember, a realistic fiction is a fiction, so it's a story that's not true. But realistic means it's a story that's not true, but it could happen, because the characters are people that could really be, and the events are things that could really happen. And we're going to be talking about what sounds can you hear, how are they made. And we're reading about a boy who wants to whistle. And the name of the story, Whistle for Willie. And it's by Ezra Jack Keats. So when you look at the title of the story, what do you think is going to be happening in this story? What sounds do you think that you're going to hear? A whistle, maybe? And how is the whistle made? And it looks like here the boy is trying to whistle. So the main character here in the story is going to be, of course, Willie. Here we see Willie standing by the stoplight. And look at him, he looks sad. So I see a boy leaning against the street light. He looks sad, and I ask myself, who is this boy and why is he sad? Then I read on the next page, it says, oh, how Peter wished he could whistle. So I'm thinking this boy is named Peter, not Willie. His name is Peter, and it says he wishes that he could whistle. So I'm thinking maybe his problem, maybe the reason he's sad is that he can't whistle. When I turn the page, I see it says he saw a boy playing with his dog. Whenever the boy whistled, the dog ran straight to him. So do you think Peter was impressed with that? He liked that idea? Peter tried to whistle, but he couldn't. So instead, he began to turn himself around. Around and around, he whirled faster and faster. So we see that he has a problem. He can't whistle. And we see that he's turning himself around and around. And the author repeats the words, around and around. Let's keep reading. And notice the 3 dots, because the story keeps on going. When he stopped, everything turned down and up and up and down and around and around. Okay. The author is repeating the words to emphasize something. What do you think he's trying to emphasize when he says the words down and up, and then he switches the order and he says up and down? What do you think he wants to tell you? Maybe he's trying to get the reader to understand that Peter feels like things are turning upside down. He's been twirling so much. What other words does the author repeat? And around. Okay, to emphasize that Peter feels like everything is spinning around him. Also, the illustrations help us on this page to understand how Peter feels when he stops twirling. What things in the picture help you to understand how he feels? Okay, look at the page. Is it straight across? No, it's kind of diagonal, isn't it? And look at the lights. Look at the street lights. What's happening to the lights? They're coming out of the street light, aren't they? So it gives us the idea that Peter is feeling very like his head is spinning, and he's bending forward and he's bending backwards as if he's swaying. Okay, when you twirl around, is that the way you feel? Do you have a hard time standing up when you get through twirling? Okay, well, let's see what happens. Peter saw his dog, Willie, coming. Quick as a wink, he hid in an empty carton lying on the sidewalk. Okay, so on page 234, Peter sees a box and decides to hide inside it. As I read, I ask myself, why would he do that? What do you think? Why does Peter hide from Willie? I think Peter's playing around. He seems like a playful boy. He's being silly when he hides from Willie. I think he's trying to play hide and seek with the dog. You think so? Well, let's see. Wouldn't it be funny if I whistled, Peter thought. Willie would stop and look around to see who it was. Peter tried again to whistle, but still he couldn't. So Willie just walked on. Okay. Peter says it would be funny if he whistled and Willie looked around to see where the noise came from. Why do you think Peter says that? Do you think he wishes he could whistle for Willie? Okay, let's turn the page and see. Peter got out of the carton and started home. On the way, he took some colored chalks out of his pocket and drew a long, long line right up to the door. He stood there and tried to whistle again. He blew till his cheeks were tired, but nothing happened. Okay, what is Peter's problem in the story again? He can't whistle. Do you think he has taken any steps to change or solve his problem? Yeah, he tried to whistle again, didn't he? But he hasn't been able to. What is Peter trying to do on page 237? He's trying to whistle, isn't he? How is it working out for him? He keeps on blowing and blowing until nothing happens except for what? What does happen? His cheeks get tired. You ever have your cheeks get tired when you're blowing, especially like when you're blowing up a balloon or something? Okay, what do you think is going to happen next? Make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen next? Well, let's see. He went into his house and put on his father's old hat to make himself feel more grown up. He looked into the mirror to practice whistling. Still, no whistle. Okay, we said that Peter's problem is that he cannot whistle. On page 231, 235, 237, and 239, Peter tries to whistle, but he can't. He keeps trying and practicing, though. I think this is a step he's taking to solve his problem. So, the problem is he can't whistle. The steps he's taken to the solution is he's trying to whistle. He tries again and again. Okay, why do you think he put on his father's hat? It says in the story he wanted to feel more grown up. Why did he want to feel more grown up? What does he think grown-ups can do? He thinks grown-ups can whistle, doesn't he? So he thinks maybe if he puts on his hat and is more grown up, then maybe he'll just be able to whistle. Do you think it works that way? Okay, let's see. When his mother saw what he was doing, Peter pretended that he was his father. He said, "I've come home early today, dear. Is Peter here?" And his mother answered, "Why, no, he's outside with Willie." "Well, I'll go out and look for them," said Peter. Okay, fiction stories sometimes have dialogues when they're talking to each other. Dialogue tells us what the characters say. On these pages, the author uses dialogue to tell us what each character says. So what does Peter say? Well, he's pretending to be his father, isn't he? And he says that he has come home early. Is this something that could happen in real life? Yes. So this is a realistic fiction. It's something that can happen in real life. We can use what Peter says and does to help us understand his point of view. Peter is pretending to be his father and to be home from work. Why might Peter pretend to be his father? How might wearing his dad's hat make Peter feel better? And like we said before, not being able to whistle makes him feel too young. He wants to feel more grown up. First, he walked along a crack in the sidewalk. Then he tried to run away from his shadow. So what do you think he's going to do next? Well, let's see. He jumped off of his shadow, but when he landed, they were together again. He came to the corner where the carton was, and who should he see but Willie? Okay, can you close your eyes and picture Peter trying to play with his shadow, trying to jump off of it? Can you see his reaction when he lands right back on his shadow? Okay, when you were predicting what he would do next, is this what you thought he would be doing? Okay, now it says Peter sees Willie again. What do you think he's going to do next? What do you think what's going to happen now? Peter scrambled under the carton. He blew and blew and blew. Suddenly, out came a real whistle. Are you happy for Peter? Willie stopped and looked around to see who it was. Is that what Peter wanted Willie to do? Okay, we have the word here, suddenly. Okay, we talked about prefixes. They're things we add to the beginning of a word, but suffixes is something that happens at the end of a word. So we add ly to the word, and what's the main part of the word? Sudden. We add the ly, and what does that mean? It means to do it in a sudden way. Okay, so he did it in a sudden way. The whistle came out. Okay, what do you predict what did you predict he was going to do? And did he do? Did you guess he was going to hide in the box and whistle? Did you think he would really finally be able to whistle? It's me, Peter shouted and stood up. Willie raced straight to him. Okay, let's review what we know about the plot. What was his problem? He could not whistle. What steps did he take to solve his problem? He tried over and over to whistle. Do you think Peter solved his problem? Yes. He kept trying until he finally was able to whistle. Okay, what does Peter do when he whistles and Willie looks for him? He shouted, "It's me." How do you think Peter feels? Pretty happy, proud, excited. Peter ran home to show his father and mother what he could do. They loved Peter's whistling. So did Willie. How can you tell that they loved it? Look at the mom. What's she doing? Is she clapping? What's Willie doing? Standing up on his back paws? Okay. Can you close your eyes and picture how happy they would have been and how happy he felt? Peter's mother asked him and Willie to go on an errand to the grocery store. He whistled all the way there, and he whistled all the way home. Okay, who was the main character in the story? Peter. And what was his problem? He couldn't whistle. What steps did he take to solve his problem? He tried and tried to whistle. And how did he solve it? He didn't give up, and he finally whistled. And remember, guys, when a couple of stories we've talked about now, they don't give up. So remember, when you're having a hard time doing something, don't give up. Keep trying.